sweating like a bank robber over here.
Fucking thing on, I'm dying.
What's up, everybody? It's Keefy from Ghost Cult Magazine, ghostcultmag.com, and I'm here with the guys from Evergrey in New York City. How are you doing?
Pretty well. Yeah.
Pretty hot.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Pretty hot.
It's a little warm. We're here on the bus, a little hot. We had the AC going. Welcome to New York City. It's great to have you back. Tonight's show is at Le Poisson Rouge, right outside the bus. Normally, I don't think I have ever seen you in the 3 times I've seen the band ever in a very intimate little place like this with no barricade and right on top of the fans. So right off the bat, I'm used to seeing the big production in theaters and stuff like that. So kind of back to the roots a little bit for you guys, right? To play at a small club.
Yeah, it's nice to play a new club. I don't remember where we played last, but that seems to be a new club every time we're here. So yeah, pretty much. That'll be fun.
Word. Fortunately, we have an abundance of new venues now in New York City. For years, we had only a couple. Yeah. So actually, we have some have shut down, but others have sprung up. So lucky for us.
Great.
But you guys are out here back in the States touring behind the brand new record earlier this year, dropped in January, The Atlantic. Very excited about that. Let's talk a little bit about the record. Definitely super impressive, beautifully made, just epic stuff. You're welcome. Sort of, I think about like the long career, 25 years in a career at this point, and you're a band that I feel like you've never repeated yourself. And I think that's where I wanted to start this interview, is talk about kind of progression and change, right? Because I think this record's got some of that in it.
Yeah, I mean, for us it's super important to make the best album we could ever make. Each and every time. We never felt like we were resting or did anything half-ass, or it's too important for us to fuck around with, So, what do you say?
Yeah, I mean, it's and I think it's a natural progression too. And every record is different. It was 2 years since we released the last one, so I mean, a lot happens in 2 years. So, onwards and upwards.
Right on. You guys have always been very prolific. It seems like every several, album tour cycle. And I know it can be a bit of a grind. You need time for yourselves. You need time to live and experience things so you can write new music and time with your families. But I've always been impressed at how the band has always sort of put out new music pretty much routinely, so fans can expect it. Like, next year there'll be a new record, clockwork, So it's impressive because it takes, the creative process is hard. Recording takes time. All these things. You guys write music all the time? Are you working all the time on Evergrey stuff? Is that fair?
I mean, in some way, sure. There's always, ideas, lying around, but not any like proper writing, on tour anyway.
We need a date set, We need to know that the album's going to be released this day. Then we start counting backwards, and then we sort of figure out when we have to start. So and that's a pressure that we need. But as Johan said, yeah, inside there's always stuff going on.
Right, and you have to reverse engineer a calendar. That's actually really smart.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I didn't think of that myself. We should probably do that at Ghost Cult some more. Now that I think about it, there it is. Project management from Evergrey. That's a segment. We'll make that a clip. But yeah, that's impressive, because I think a lot of bands don't work that way, and maybe they should. It seems like logical. It's strangely logical. Why didn't we think of that? Yeah,
but I mean, it's also, we are very lucky to be able to make music for the 25th year that we've been doing this now. So yeah, it's routine to do it every other year, but it's also something that we have to do because it is labor, it is work. It's and this is what we do. So it's it's just a great thing. Fortunate enough.
Let's talk about the concept of the record. I know this is the third in the trilogy, as you said. So how do we sum things up on this record in a bow after telling this story for 2 previous albums?
Yeah, I guess this part of the story is about crossing an ocean. The symbolics of that, and finding yourself on new shores and picking yourself up, and let's see what the next album is about. I don't know.
Right on. There's definitely a lot of nautical sounding themes in the album. Entire parts feel like being on a ship or at sea, not just emotionally but to the ear. I think is very creative. and also I was clearly very clever to put it in there, to create and craft songs that way.
Yeah, I mean, when me and the drummer Jonah started fucking around with the idea, we had this big screen of stormy ocean and just watched that while doing the riffing for like a couple of months, and that sort of set the tone for this album. And then we had, for the last 3 albums, we tried to find one sound on keyboard or guitar or something that sort of will lead the way towards all the other songs that we try to incorporate in many songs. So there's one song that sounds like ooh, something like this, and it's in 5 or 6 songs throughout the album, I think. So it's really cool.
Maybe it's like it's either a boat engine or like sort of a very low whale song.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's both. It's the combination of that.
And I like that it's not typical. There's always a very typical, whenever anybody wants to imitate whales, there's always a little guitar trickery that everybody kind of does. And I like that it's very unique to you, unique to Evergrey, which is wonderful. And as I said, every record in the band's career has had its own personality, a stand apart. Still the band, still represents the band, but I like that you guys have always not limited yourself. You always want to grow and change. And it's kind of scary because I think if you get very successful with a sound, it's probably scary to change, and you don't, are the fans going to like it? Is the label going to like it? Am I going to like it? I'm going to alienate someone in the band. So I think these are the things that I think about, and probably I don't know if the band ever thinks about.
No, because if we would think about those things, then it would be scary. We just think about what would keep ourselves happy, first and foremost. And when we do that, then we also know that we make 100% of an album that we can, and then we're just happy if people likes it as well. And as I said before, fortunate that people do, so.
Yeah, I mean, and we've never been, hugely successful. We never had any hits, so we don't have to follow up on anything. It's like just a continual growth.
Well, that's the best thing about metal. We don't have to have hits. You'll have fans anyway. People love your band. They will support you for the most part, with few exceptions.
Yes.
We can think of a few exceptions, but with few exceptions.
Yeah.
And I think just the history, again, really speaks to you guys and your talent as writers. And I think also, it's okay to experiment and change. I think some fans have to be a little less uptight. I know fans get very possessive about their bands and they don't want them to change. Yeah. Did you ever feel like the fans, that you've kind of built a fan base that will come along with you on the journey?
I think so. I mean, if you have a career that's as big as this, you're always going to get people who wants to hear the old stuff, right? But with these past at least 3 records, some people have found the band through these records, and they want to hear the new stuff because they like the new stuff, So we're very happy that way.
Right on. And again, after over 25 years, it must be, even with a brand new record out, it's got to be a little daunting to create a set list that is also interesting for you, because I'm sure some songs that you have played this entire arc, I mean, like, not one more time, oh my God. You never want to have that feeling. I'm sure some bands do. I hope you don't. But, how much thought goes into the set list at the start of a tour for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, if I think we did a calculation once. If we would play only like the video singles, we would have 14 songs, and that we have to play the new stuff. We're here to promote the new album and maybe the album before that, and then we will also always play. Maybe not tonight since we have a short set, but we will always play some classic songs for the fans as well. But very rarely do we go back to like the first and second album and stuff like that. But maybe there will be some special occasion with that.
Well, we would love to see that happen. And I'm glad you mentioned the videos, because the band has always had a really great visual style to me. And I really love the latest video for the album. It actually came out earlier in the year, the last one. So I wanted to ask you to talk a little bit about that. Obviously, it's got the themes of the record in it. So I don't know. It seemed like you put an awful lot of work into it. Just not everything. The script, the story, beautifully done.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, we have once again, we're fortunate to work with people that understand our vision. With Patrick Uleus, who works with Revolver Film, he's been with us since the Touch a Blessing video, which was like 2002 or something, 3 maybe, 4, I I don't know, but early days. So we have grown to know each other. We're friends today, and I usually come up with some idea to him, and then he says, "No, we can't do that. That's impossible." And then he does it anyway. So yeah, it's great.
Nice. It's must be good to have collaborators you trust and can return to, because
Yeah.
I'm sure for younger bands it's probably like, oh, we're excited to make this video, but I don't know about this guy, or I don't know, the label gave us this guy to work with, and till you work with someone you don't know. But it must be a comfort to be able to work with somebody you trust and you vibe with.
Yeah, especially the trust part, since I am control freak, So, but yeah, it goes from everything from the covers to the booklets to the production, of course, and the videos.
Wonderful. So what else do you guys have lined up after this tour is over? Is there anything you can talk about that's not going to get you in trouble with the label?
We're doing a special edition release, I think, for Christmas, of course, with some a bunch of live tracks and a special new cover and blah blah blah, which is really cool actually, for the Atlantic. And then we're doing South America tour,
End of November.
and then Christmas, and then we start this over again, Europe, and starting writing the new album and
Already.
blah blah blah.
All right. Well, we'll right back at it. That's it. As we said, perpetual, like a machine.
Yes.
Evergrey, thank you for hanging out with Ghost Cult. I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
I hope it cools off for you. Thanks for coming to New York City. Thanks for hanging out with Ghost Cult. I am Keefy. We are out.